Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bears on Tap, a podcast about the Chicago Bears presented to you by On Tap Sportsnet. I'm your host, Brandon Suarez. You can follow me on Twitter at BDon300, and you can follow our main account at Bears on Tap. Today, we're going to be breaking down the white knuckle affair that occurred this afternoon at Soldier Field. The Bears were able to come away with a win. They win 23-20 on the heels of a Roquan Smith interception and a Cairo Santos field goal to walk the game off. But not much more you can ask for as Bears fans. You find a way to win a game. Nobody really picked us to be 2-1 at this point of the season. A lot of people were picking the Texans to win this game. I saw it a lot in the pregame and all that stuff. And you find a way to win 2-1, and you got the Giants next week, who are coming off a short week. So, Joey, first and foremost, how you feeling today, my guy?
Feeling good. Bears W. I mean, this was not a pretty game. This was the exact opposite of a pretty game and a pretty win, but a win is a win is a win is a win. And somehow the Bears are 2-1, man. I don't know what happened, but I think it's the jersey, because when I wear this jersey, they are 2-0 so far this season. So I don't know. That's what I'm rolling with here.
And I think for the most part, it was probably the ugliest game of the season. I'm even saying it was uglier than the game against the 49ers, because the offense, especially the passing game, had no business being out there. Justin Fields did not look good. Montgomery goes down early, but then in steps Herbie, and Herbie had like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you can't ask for much more from your backup running back. But overall, as a whole, it doesn't feel like we have gotten much better on the offensive side of the ball, regardless of the fact that we're sitting here at 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, it's not pretty at all. I think the first half was just a lot of conservative play calling and just like bullshit. We're running the ball 3 times on third down and long situations, or at least third and medium. And then when you do have opportunities and it looks like guys are breaking open, Fields is again just not pulling the trigger, and he seems so like eager to pull the ball down and run with it. And I know you made a comment, like we were talking during the game and stuff, and you were making a comment about like him, it being a running back. It's kind of what it feels like. He's missing easy throws. He's not pulling the trigger on guys that are open. He's not looking in the right place for a guy that could be breaking open. And he's real quick to pull the ball down and run with it, maybe when there's not even that much pressure. He's not climbing the pocket. There's a lot that goes into the play calling that's maybe not as suited to him, like in the first half at least. But still, man, like it looked very, very ugly. And the only thing that was working was really the running game, whether it was Montgomery before he got hurt, and then, like you said, Khalil Herbert, who just came in there and, man, he runs hard. Like he hits that hole. He gets the ball. He hits that hole. And they were creating some holes, some running lanes that was really nice up front. And, Blasingame and all those guys too, even, the fullback. But, man, throwing the football is it's like pulling teeth right now.
Yeah, and Justin Fields probably had more completions to Jalen Petrie than to anybody else out on the field today. And for those of you that know, Jalen Petrie doesn't play on our team. But there was a couple Cole Kmet sightings. There was a couple of Darnell Mooney sightings. And then 2, Equanimeous St. Brown obviously stepped up. And then Pringle goes down in the addition of David Montgomery. So it's like, this offense already depleted as far as having like quality talent on it continues to lose more people. And it's just like, I saw an article come out from On Tap in the middle of the game, and it's like, basically, should we trade for someone at the trade deadline? And I honestly don't hate it. There's not enough weapons on this offense. And even though Fields has been awful so far to start the season, aside from having no good offensive linemen or a good set of weapons, like his weapons are all real average players, there's not really anything set up for him to win. And then you throw into the fact that he's just looked like shit himself. So it's like 3 strikes, you're out of there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just a complete, utter disaster right now because, like you said, yeah, I mean, he doesn't have any weapons, but, there are times where these guys are breaking free, whether they're schemed open or, whatever. Maybe they're playing against somebody who's not playing as good in the secondary, whatever the case may be. But they're breaking free and he's not finding him. He just won't let it rip. And I feel like you can see clear as day right now that the coaching staff does not have confidence in Justin Fields, his ability to find receivers, maybe the offensive line's ability to block up front. Like Larry Borum's been getting killed for the most part, like all season. Mustafer's like fucking up snaps, and he's just not good. He's not a starting center. I mean, it's starting to mount. It's starting to mount here.
It is what it is,
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks, man. Like you see these things, and it's like Fields deserves better, I think, but like at the same time, it's like, dude, he a lot of it's on him too, and like you can't baby him. Like you can only baby him to a certain point until you're like, hey, man, like you got to take the training wheels off. Like, you got to just let him rip the ball downfield and make him make those throws like he's capable of doing. Like chuck the ball downfield. I don't care if he throws a pick at this stage of his career. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like those interceptions.
Those are learning experiences,
Yeah, the interceptions are fine, but like he just can't tuck it down and run with it every time. Like, yeah, he can make those plays, right? Like he made some pretty big plays with his feet, but like he's going to get himself killed in some of those situations. And it's not only that, but he's passing up some opportunities to maybe make a better play. So I don't know. It's really difficult to watch right now. Maybe like you said, they need another playmaker. I mean, it's obvious they do. Maybe they go and they, trade for one or whatever. But right now it's like, I don't even know how much of a difference that would make. Like just where he's at, like, in his like development. I don't know how much of a difference it would make. It would make a difference, but like, he dropped at least one easy one, and then the other one he didn't make. Like I was like, man, come on, bail him out in that situation. He's struggling, and then he didn't make like a spectacular catch. I mean, it was a difficult catch, but the other one, and he didn't make that catch over the middle. But so, I don't know, man.
By the numbers, Fields 8 of 17, 106 yards, 2 interceptions. And then Herbert, on the other hand, 20 carries, 157 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And
beast mode.
I mean, fuck, dude. I really hope Montgomery's all right. But in the event that Montgomery is not all right and he's out for an extended period of time, the backfield is in a good position, especially considering that's all we fucking do. I watch so much football, right? Like you watch a lot of football too. And the level of offense that we're running, granted it's handicapped due to the ability and then the players within the offense, is like a high school level offense. And it's honestly fucking hilarious that we're sitting here talking and we're 2-1. And yeah, I got nothing. Like, to be honest, when the fourth quarter started and we just kept going 3 and out, I'm just like, eventually the defense will run out of breath. We'll make a mistake here or make a mistake there, and it'll be a wrap. But I personally think that Justin Fields has to have that conversation with himself, like, what am I actually doing out here, bro? Because this is not the Justin Fields that we drafted. This is not the Justin Fields that, even though it was a different regime, we thought we were getting. And we saw him play in college. He's been that dude since high school. He's kind of not that guy right now, pal. He's definitely not that guy. He can run the shit out of the ball. He ran the ball well today. I'll give him that, but not much else.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not what you want from him, right? You don't want him to be a Cam Newton style quarterback. Like you didn't bring him here. You didn't draft him, or Ryan Pace didn't draft him to be a Cam Newton style. Like it's great that he has the wheels that he does. It's great that he can make a play like that when he needs to, especially when things break down. But like resorting to it, that's not it. And like the big time plays, like the deep throws, the accuracy, the arm strength, like those are the things that we know Justin Fields for, like from college, right? Maybe he was never a he wasn't he wasn't anticipating guys breaking open, and he had guys that were wide open at Ohio State because they were playmakers. But at the same time, it's like you would think that he would start coming, like some of that would start clicking at this stage, third game into this season. He got some experience last year. Like, yeah, it was a terrible coaching staff that he was under. And like we've talked about, we don't know how much he actually learned from the last regime. But at the same time, you pick up things as you're playing, right? Like you're still playing against NFL competition, pro level competition. The fact that he's not able to like make those adjustments yet. And it's kind of like he's regressing this season. Like we saw some improvement down the stretch last year. And it's kind of feels like he's regressing to this point. And I don't know if he's just gun shy and he's getting in his head a little bit, or what the case is. I mean, he has his spurts here and there, but Scott Crawford here, the Justin Fields haters can fuck off. Justin is on pace to be sacked 56 times. Look, I mean,
the man is just getting smoked on every play, dude. Like
he was getting fucked today. He was getting fucked. But we look at the time to throw that he's had in the past, right? The first 2 games of the season, time to throw. He had the most time to throw on average as more than any other quarterback in the NFL. So,
no, I don't think it's the most time to throw. I think it's he holds on to the ball longer than anybody else.
I thought it was time to throw. I thought it was the next gen stats.
It's he holds the ball. He holds.
Well, he does hold the ball. Yes, he holds the ball forever.
It really is just perspective. But we're not going to go on this podcast and say he has the most time in the league to throw the ball.
No, because the offensive line, yes.
That doesn't fit the narrative.
It does.
He takes the longest to get rid of the football. And 100%. It's true. It's 3.3 seconds. I mean, dude, you can watch a fucking movie in 3.3 seconds.
Well, and you're good. But the point is you're going to get sacked, though, too. When you're holding the ball that long, you will get your ass chewed out. Like, you will get rocked. And yeah, man, like he just has to get rid of the ball. Just pull the trigger. Like trust your read. Trust your, move your eyes around and hit that second read. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't, not only he's not pulling the trigger on the first one, he makes his progression. He sees the second one. He's not pulling it on that one. That's like, dude. And sometimes it's like, where are your eyes at? Like this dude's breaking free, he's streaking down. He could be a wide open touchdown on a vert route. It's like,
Give me 2 seconds. Carry the show. I got to grab my charger.
Yeah, so I don't know. Those are some of the things that like I'm seeing with Fields that's just driving me nuts. And it's, like I said, first half, I didn't like the play calling either. I just didn't like the way that they were. You want to establish the ground game. We talked about that. Me and B-Don sat here and talked about the preview show of, establishing the ground game. And that would be a key way that you could beat this Texans team. I thought there'd be a lot of yards there on the ground. And there was, look at Khalil Herbert today and then Montgomery before he got hurt. There were a lot of lanes to run. And the offensive line did a pretty good job of that, creating those lanes. But, it's not like the play calling didn't really build off of that either. Like they had opportunities where that could have set other things up. And it felt like Luke Getsy wasn't really setting things up, even building off of that great running game that they had today. And that really bothered me. Like second half, it seemed like he did a little bit of a better job of it.
Yeah.
But in the first half, they were not building off of that running game and setting it up and using that in the passing game.
Well, yeah, and that's how you have to do it on offense, especially when you can't get the passing game involved. Set it up through the running game and then start hitting those short to intermediate routes. The play action should be something that we could utilize, especially with Fields' speed, but it's not because we can't hold up long enough. But yeah, I am a jag-off, and I sat Khalil Herbert on my bench, and he had 30 points.
You wouldn't have known that he was going to get this workload, though. That's just kind of wild,
Yeah.
Unless it was going to be a route, and then you were like, oh, he's going to get garbage time. But
the thing is it's a 14-person league, but I started Miles Sanders instead, and yeah, everyone on my team sold so hard. It's terrible.
Oh, shit.
Enough about my fantasy team. I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that Khalil Herbert had 30 fucking points today, and That's a good number. That's something that you can definitely use on your bench. But if Monty is out, and I don't know what the official ruling is, it's going to be tough because now instead of Khalil Herbert getting those complimentary carries, he's going to be the feature guy, which I'm not saying it's going to be tough on him. But then that second guy is now going to be like Ebner or one of the young guys. So you don't really know how that's going to go over in their rookie season, per se. But I'm going to knock on wood for the show for Monty. And he was wearing the Tariq Cohen shirt inside the stadium today. Like, I'm sick about it. And then, too, Pringle, I think he only had one catch before he got hurt. Maybe he had two, but nice.
Yeah, nice play, though.
Yeah, nice little shifty play, getting to the next level of the defense, and we ride. But let's go to the other side of the ball. The other side of the ball was phenomenal in my eyes. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Fuck you mean, dude. Eddie Jackson with an interception in the end zone to save points. I know on the show on the pregame I said probably a pick six. I actually did bet it, but I put it in a parlay with a bunch of other stuff that also didn't hit, so I didn't feel as bad. I just picked the nastiest anytime touchdown scores and paired it with that. But Roquan Smith, the play of the game, right?
Almost housed it too.
Dude, I thought he was gone. And if he would have housed it, he would have literally just came out of the locker room all clean and stuff, showered up, fresh, ready to go hit the town for the night, and he would just be getting picked up in a Brinks truck.
I was going to say, the Brinks truck better be arriving at that stadium.
It wouldn't be an Uber Black. It wouldn't be an Uber. It wouldn't be a limo or nothing. It's a goddamn Brinks truck because, what the fuck are we doing as a franchise, not giving this guy everything that he's worth? I understand you don't want to pay an off-ball linebacker. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. Fuck the trends. Fuck what the rest of the league is doing. You have a guy that wants to be a Chicago Bear for the rest of his career and is damn good at what he does. So why not make him a Chicago Bear at least for the next 4 to 5 years, and then we'll kind of reassess on the other side. But yeah, because you can't do contracts like in baseball. What's the longest that you could do? Is it 10 years for NFL?
I'm not.
I know
the contract guy for NFL.
Yeah, no, I know it's definitely not 14, 15 years like baseball. So
you never see that. No, yeah, it's not. They're not very long. I'm not sure what the max for football is, but they're not very long contracts. I know that. Yeah, man. I mean, it's not a premium position. It's not a premium position. This guy's a fucking playmaker. Who gives a shit? And I keep seeing people talking about, oh, he tackles after they get 7 yards, he doesn't make big plays. They get 6 yards, he racks up all his tackles. The man had 15 tackles today. And that big interception to basically set the Bears up to win the game. To win the game. That's a big-time play. That's like Stacey King says, right? Big-time players make big-time plays. That's all-pro Roquan, who should be an all-pro, yes. And he should be paid.
I was going nuts when he made that play because, honestly, I was sitting there and I'm like, dude, if this game goes to overtime, I just don't even want to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? It's –
oh, we're going to tie?
I was going to say, and remember, leading up to this game, maybe not on the most recent episode, but I always said that we were going to tie this game just for all shits and giggles. You know what I'm saying? Just because. But Lovey's got a hard fighting team. He doesn't have a bad football team. They definitely have some good young talent. As much as I was talking shit about Jalen Petrie, I mean, talk about a good player today. He had 2 picks, quite a few tackles. And then offensively, outside of Pierce, Cooks never really got going. Nico Collins never really got going. And they don't really have, anybody that's worth a shit. So it's whose team is more mid? We're more mid. They're less mid. They're just terrible. But I'd like to see the Bears move up a spot or two in the power rankings if I could, right? Defensively, they have shown even last week against the Packers. I'm not really too disappointed. It could have been way worse, right? Defensively, I'm sure they're probably top 10 or 15 in most categories right now. They're always winning the turnover margin. Like they're getting turnovers week in and week out. And then the most important thing, I think, in any defense, especially in the NFL, is pressure with four. Anybody can
Yeah,
get pressure when you blitz, right? Anybody can get pressure
not
when you send
blitzing.
extra people. But just getting pressure with your defensive linemen, Quinn, Robinson, Gibson, all those guys have been playing phenomenal. Jones got in there on a sack today. So things are looking up on the defensive side of the ball. On offense, we found a way to get 20 points, but it has to get better if we want better things for this team this season. I don't, again, not a Super Bowl team, but dude, I wouldn't hate a little wild card. I wouldn't hate a little wild card.
Well, you hope that they can build off this win, right? Like it's a win that is super ugly, but at the same time, we said at the top of the show, win is a win. I mean, the guys don't care once they get to the locker room. Are there things that they're going to be talking to them about? The coaching staff, the players know they need to clean things up, especially Fields. You could tell by his reactions on the sideline, right? The way he's like looking like he's sleeping, and you know what I mean? Like, seems like he's taking some deep breaths. He knows he's not playing well right now. He knows the offense isn't in a groove right now, like just as a whole. But like defensively, man, you were talking about the pressure, and yeah, I mean that was one thing we talked about on the preview show, right? The pressure with the front four. Pro Football Reference only had them as one blitz, which I don't know how they actually categorize that for their stat, but like I would assume 5 or more, bring in 5 or more.
Yeah, it's got to be 5 or more.
And like only one blitz, like a 1.6%, and they're still getting that pressure rate. They actually updated. I was looking at it this morning at like leaders in pressure rate when I was working on that gambling article. Yeah. And they updated it to where they were like 4th best in pressure rate. And I'm like, how did that change from fucking when we did the preview show? There's been one game played, and the teams that were in that game, they didn't leap ahead of the Bears. So I don't know how they goofed that up, but doesn't matter. I'm not the one doing their stats over there. But
yeah, no, and there's several places that are in a state after this afternoon slate. But one trend that I would like to see continue on weeks that the Bears win, I would like to see the Packers lose, but they are driving the football right now on the Bucks. So, hey, right now we are tied with the Minnesota Fraud Vikings for first place in the NFC North for the second time this season. Just saying, but let's get some longevity. Let's get an offense that's actually worth a shit. Let's find out what Justin Fields is really about, because if Justin Fields is in fact not that guy, I hate to say it, but
you gotta find the guy if he's not.
You gotta find the guy if he's not the guy, because
I think he needs time, though. I really do think he needs time. I'm not gonna write him. We're not writing him off.
We're not writing him off, but it's frustrating, as you could imagine, as all hell, when it's week in and week out, and this is the type of shit we're dealing with Fields, especially like you said, Joey. Towards the end of the year, last year, you could really tell that he was starting to make strides and starting to get better. And you saw it in like the Pittsburgh game and games down the stretch. But preseason, they kind of sucked him dry for the Browns game. And then, after week 1, he was the NFL Twitter page's header and all that stuff. And since that win against the Niners, it's been all downhill for him. You can't really do much with 17 pass attempts, but like, fuck, dude, at least complete 50% of your passes.
But it's like it sucks because like you just look at those 17 pass attempts and you know that they're not really what they were either, right? Because like a lot of times he's tucking it and he's running it before he probably even needs to. So it's like, damn, like I look at that 17 pass attempts, I'm like, how many of those actually were, the ones that he ran the ball that he could have made a pass somewhere? And like, you talked about it on the defensive side of the ball too. Like even the pressure that the Bears were able to get today, I felt like they actually the Texans, they have some decent tackles on offense too. Like their offensive tackles, Laramie Tunzel, the other guy's name's not coming to my head right now, but
Quesenberry.
Yeah.
Questenberry guy.
The gas mask. Didn't he have the gas mask?
No, that was Tunsil that had the gas mask.
Oh, who are you talking about?
I said
Oh,
Questenberry.
I got you.
Fire name, dude. Questenberry.
Yeah, Questenberry. I thought the Bears might have had a shot at him.
The Quesman.
But no, yeah, so I mean they got players like Petrie on the defensive, like you could tell on the defensive side of the ball, like you said, man, they're a well coached team. Like Lovey knows how to coach an NFL team, like maybe not college, like we talked about with Illinois, but he could coach an NFL team, guys that know what they're doing, putting them in the right spots, and it was definitely a professional game, like this chess match today. I thought it was cool, like seeing like some of the little wrinkles too, like that Equinemius St. Brown, that little like what was it, the sweep play or whatever you want to call it.
He's looked good when they've gotten the ball in his hands so far this year.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. Like, but there weren't like too many of those plays where it's like, damn, how did you draw that up in that situation? That's one of the things I'm like,
no, yeah,
Getsy is very underwhelming so far on the offensive play calling side.
We're still sitting here fucking 3 weeks into the Eberflus and Getsy regime. Like, okay, when are we going to start seeing some actual blueprints and fingerprints on kind of like what the hell you guys are offensively? Because for the most part, it's just been pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock, and then throw when we have to because we're losing or because we need a lot of yards. And then usually it doesn't end up well. Like through 3 games, we probably have the least amount of passing attempts in the entire NFL. And from an organizational standpoint, especially in a stopgap year, right? Like this is a year that no one really expected us to compete, right? Why are we not throwing him to the fucking Wolves, Justin Fields, to see what he's got? Like you said, you can't baby him. He's either got it or he doesn't, and you have to fucking find out.
Even if he doesn't beat on, right? Like let's say this season he's not going to have it. Like this could be a slow build. Like if it truly is like a Josh Allen type situation where he needs that development like Josh Allen did. Josh Allen was not a good passer in his like he could run. He was running like 100 yards some games, right? Like he was really running the ball, but he was not really. What he did differently is he would have that gunslinger mentality where he'd just wind up and chuck the ball, 70 yards down the field. Same thing with Jameis Winston. I would prefer to see a guy that's going to make the crazy, spectacular chuck the ball downfield play like that, like a Jameis Winston at this stage in his career.
Just hucking darts. Dude, Jameis sucks now, though, too.
I know, but I'm just talking about like his Bucs years. You know what I mean? Like those Bucs years were like he was just slanging. What was that one season? He just pick and TD for like 70 yards. Like, like he had some crazy wild games. He used to win me some money on DFS just because all the damn yards. But yeah, man, Justin Fields. Like I don't care if he makes the picks. Like we said, like go ahead, chuck it and duck. Like get out of the way. Don't get yourself hit. Don't get landed on top of like. I think that's better if he throws a pick if we're going to lose.
Yeah.
Throw a pick. I mean, I know they won this game, but like throw a pick instead of like getting a big linebacker or defensive lineman falling right on top of you from running the ball for a gain of 7 yards or 12. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, too. He has just been getting his fucking clock cleaned week in and week out. He's been taking a lot of hits, and he still really doesn't know how to slide, to be honest. So it's like, the only thing right now that's going well for him is his ability to get into open space and run with the ball. He needs to find a way before the end of this season to start becoming a threat through the passing game because it's just not what we signed up for, right? Like when we signed up for Justin Fields, quarterback from Ohio State, Heisman hopeful, CFP level playing quarterback, all that shit. That dude was slinging his dong all across the yard, throwing for like 400 yards and 4 fucking touchdowns. So you almost feel like you got sold a bad good bill of goods, but it is what it is. We find a way to win this one. It was an ugly one just like us, but 23-20 in favor of our Bears. Let me hear who your players of the game are for this one, offense and defense.
Let me start defense because I don't think you can go another way than Roquan Smith. Pay Roquan Smith. I don't know. I mean, I don't even care if you take the same player because I feel like we both know that that's the player of the game. When you had 15 tackles and that big interception,
the game-winning interception, essentially.
The game-winning interception, yeah. Yeah, big-time players, like we said. He's a big-time player. And offensively, I'll leave that one for you because I feel like that's the main one too. But how about Blasingame? Blasingame opening some holes. The fullback. Let's give the fullback some love, baby.
No, I love a fullback.
Give the fullback some love. I think he had a pretty good game. I'd like to go back and watch and just see how good of a game he had. But I mean, I know he wasn't on the field as much as most of the other guys, but it matters, right? He helps.
So I'm probably going to go for defense, Kyler Gordon. No, I'm just kidding.
Good Lord.
Nah, defense, since you went Roquan.
Torch. We didn't talk about that, though.
No, yeah. We'll wrap back around to that after I get my players of the game. But defensively, since you went Roquan, and I won't go with the same guy, I'll go with Eddie Jackson. Also kept points off the board at an important time in the game to kind of keep that Texans offense at bay. And then on the offensive side of the ball, it's got to be Herbie. Herbie fully unloaded. I was going to tweet the picture of the Herbie car, but I didn't know if anyone would understand it, so I didn't. But
the talking slug bug or Herbie or whatever.
Yeah, it was like a Disney movie, I think it was. But yeah, Herbie came to fucking play today. He won me some money plus 400 anytime touchdown. So that was a nice little sprinkle to bail me out from my absolutely awful fucking afternoon slate. It's not look. It's a good thing I'm going to work after this. I'm just kidding, but yeah,
gotta make that money back.
It's house. I won a lot yesterday on college, and I've just been slaughtering college and then just giving some of it back on Sundays. But as far as defensively, Kyler Gordon, man. He has not looked good the last 2 weeks. Really got picked on by Aaron Rodgers, and then again this week by fucking Davis Mills. So it's like, gonna need to clean that up, especially too, because he was probably playing number one corner today with Jalen Johnson out, which is something we also did not talk about.
I didn't expect that. I was really in shock when I heard that news about Jalen Johnson. Yeah, that kind of came out of left field in my eyes. I didn't even hear anything about, a Jalen Johnson injury, and maybe you did, but I didn't know that there was something going on. So, yeah, man. I mean, Kyler Gordon, I don't know. He was getting torched by guys you would not expect to be torching him, which he's a rookie. So not to say that he can't be beaten by these guys, but it wasn't like a Brandon Cooks beating him, I don't think. So, it didn't look good for him this game or last game. Really has some things to work on. I think maybe playing in that number one cornerback role. I don't know. I mean, Kendall Vildor didn't have a great game either, but then he did have that one where he deflected the ball for Eddie Jackson, kind of made up for it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he kind of got himself together. He started making some better plays and tighter coverage after that, it seemed like. But yeah, the secondary outside of Eddie Jackson, it's really, and when Jalen Johnson's not in there, you can tell that there's really, it's a little sketchy. It's a little iffy still. I mean, Kendall Vildor, did we really expect him to have a starting job at this point, like coming into this season? Like I thought, maybe a nickel role, but like he's not even playing nickel really. He's playing like, the opposite cornerback for the most part. So I didn't expect that coming into this year. And I mean, he's been okay, and maybe even a little bit improved from last year, but man, he gave up the touchdown to the tight end. And, I think he did get beat on that. You can't get beat by a tight end like that. That's NFL open. Yeah, he's a bigger dude. He can box him out for that touchdown, but that's NFL open. Kendall Vildor got beat by the tight end.
Yeah, no, that shit is unacceptable. But Yeah, it really just comes down to the fact that we don't have the Jimmies and Joes. We really don't. We don't have
You don't have
the
the B-Dons and Joes.
we don't have the depth in the secondary to afford injuries to Jalen Johnson, or even though we've been talking shit about him, Kyler Gordon as well. If we lose Kyler Gordon to an injury, he's you know it's not as easily replaceable as we saw this afternoon. But yeah, Bears find a way to win this one. They got the Giants this upcoming week. The Giants, like I said, they play on Monday Night Football. They play tomorrow against the Dallas Cowboys, the Dakless Dallas Cowboys. So we'll get them on a short week, but we'll be back with you guys in the middle of the week to break down that game, get you guys ready for Giants week, a week that has been a very nice week to us the last few years. But as you can anticipate, the Giants have gotten better as we have gotten worse. So that will set up for a very interesting game next Sunday. But we really do appreciate everyone for joining us on this episode of Bears on Tap. Today we broke down today's 23-20 victory over the Houston Texans, the Lovie Smith revenge game, the Lovie Smith swan song. It's the third time he's been back since he's not been the coach, so let's all give it a rest. He lost.
He's got the Obama gray going.
Yeah, no, he's literally the silver surfer in my eyes. But we'll be back to you guys midweek, and then we'll be back to you guys on the other side of the Giants game next week to break it all down for you. We really do appreciate you for listening to this episode of Bears on Tap. You can follow Joey at Joey Knows Nothing. You can follow me at BDon300, and you can follow our main account at Bears on Tap. Really do appreciate you, and bear down.
Bear down.